Hello everyone, it's Tracy. Welcome back to my channel. Thanks very much for joining me. Today I'm doing the assembly tutorial for the 3D Garden Diorama Box Card. This project has been designed by Nicole Silhouette here on YouTube, and I shall link her YouTube channel in the description box below. This die set is available from the KSCraft Lovers store, and this too shall be linked in the description box below. So first up, I'm going to talk about the various die pieces that come in the set and what you need to cut out to make your diorama card. So these are the pieces, and I've got my card pieces cut out. The first piece I'm going to talk about is the back of the card, and that's this piece here. And this die creates that piece, and you'll use that die a lot. So for the back of the card, we'll snip those side tabs off, and that's our back of our card. The next part of this diorama card is the tree, and there's a left tree and a right tree, and to create these you will need our outer frame piece, these two inner pieces which are the left and the right tree, and you'll stack them like so and cut them, and these are what the pieces look like once you've cut them out. And when they're stacked together like that, it makes that tree. The next piece is this beautiful flower veil piece, and you'll need that outer layer frame and also the floral inner frame, and they get stuck together to create this piece. Next up is our front face piece of the diorama card, and to make that you'll need the outer frame plus one of these other layering pieces. There's a small layering piece and a large one. We're just going to use the small one to create the front face of the diorama. And you'll also snip the tabs off. So you do that for the back of the card and the front of the card. This piece here creates the two sides, so you'll need two of those. And this piece here is a decorator piece that goes on the front face of your diorama card. And to create that, you'll use these two layering dies stacked together, like so, and that will create your little frame. I've also cut another one of these back pieces and snipped the tabs off, and I'll talk a bit more about that later. Also in the die set you get a piece to make some grass, and for my tutorial today I'm cutting the grass 4 times. There's also a swing in the die set that you can cut and fold, and you can hang that with some fishing line off the tree branches if you like. I have decided not to use the swing in any of my cards today for the tutorial, but you can if you want to. So let's put this all together. To begin with, we will need the two side pieces, and you'll notice that there's a gap, a larger gap at one end than there is at the other. So the end with the large gap is the top, and if you do it the wrong way around, your pieces won't fit together. So once I've done that, I'm going to attach them to the back piece, and you can attach it on the front like this or on the back like so. I like to put it so that the tab is on the back. So I'm just putting some glue along the glue tab there and attaching the back piece to that glue tab, and then I'll press it into place, making sure that the glue gets a good hold. So now it's time to put some of the pieces together, and there are cuts that are inside those two side pieces, as I'm showing here, that those tabs will slot into. If you find that those cuts are not wide enough for you to get those tabs in, what I like to do is get my pokey tool and just make it a little bit wider. Then you won't struggle so much. So you do need to finagle it a little bit, and once you've got the tabs into those little cuts or slits, then they actually get pushed down, and that locks that piece into place. So then I'll put the other one into place, and I'm only doing one side at a time at the moment, and the reason for that is if I want to do some further decorating, it's a little bit easier for me. Next we'll put the flower veil in place. So that's all our pieces on that side put in place, and you can see that if I want to do some further decorating and adding things in, it's going to be a little bit easier. So this is where I'm going to put the grass in. And you can put the grass either on the front or on the back. I like to put it on the front. To me, it just looks better to my eye. The grass looks better in front of the tree, but that's entirely up to you. So doing it like this just makes it easier to get access, rather than put the two sides on and then you're sort of struggling. So on the flower veil piece and the two tree pieces, I like to put the grass on the front. But it can go on the back, it's entirely up to you. So this is the front of the diorama card, and for this piece I put the grass on the back because it looks neater. But you don't even have to put the grass on the front piece if you don't want to. This is just how I've decided to do it. To attach the front of the diorama to the side tab, you just fold the side tab in like so, and it'll go like that. So I'm just going to put some glue down that side tab and attach that front piece on. Just making sure the glue gets a good hold. And we're all affixed on one side, and this even looks like a little book. So that got my brain ticking as well for future projects. So now we can stick on our other side. I'm going to put my pokey tool into those little cuts or slits just to make them a little bit wider, just to make it easier for myself. Run the glue down along the inside of that tab and attach it to the back of the card. And now I'm going to put the other side into those slits. And this side is a little bit more difficult, it's giving me a little bit more grief. So I'm trying to work out a way to get in there to get those tabs into those slits. And of course, when I made this off camera, it was perfectly fine and didn't give me any trouble. But then when I'm filming, it's always when things play up. But you can see I've persevered and it's working. It's doing what it's meant to be doing. You just need to be careful that you don't tear your card or rip your little tabs off. So that's all those pieces slotted in, and then it's just time to glue the other side down of the front of the diorama card to that glue tab. So just lining it up, taking care, and then pressing it down into place. And the good thing about this card is it folds flat either side. Now this is where you can put your little swing in if you'd like. With some fishing line, attach it to the tree branches of the tree parts, but I've decided not to use the swing. I actually find that place there a nice place to put a sentiment. So here's that decorator piece. I'm just going to put some glue on that and attach it to the front of our diorama card. And it is a lovely card, it gives such a three-dimensional look. And the bonus is it folds flat for postage. And that's where I like to put a sentiment. Now for this other back piece here that I cut an extra one of, you can trim that down each side and along the bottom just by about a couple of millimeters, and this piece can go on the back to cover where you attached your side pieces to your base piece if you don't like the look of those long glue tabs showing at the back. And what it also does is gives the back of the card a little bit of extra strength and stability, as well as a nice neat finish. And you totally don't have to do that if you don't want to. It's entirely optional and up to you. Here is one that I've made previously. I have got a couple to show you, and I've just made this with pink cardstock and white cardstock, and this looks pretty too. Decorated it with some pearls around that decorator panel that goes on the front, and also put them in the centers of the flowers. And as you can see, I do like to put the sentiment in that spot there rather than using the swing, but the swing is a fun option if you want to give that a try at another time. And I've put some shimmer pen on the sentiment there, but it's a little hard to pick up on the video. And I do apologise for the lighting in the video. I have said before that I've had to temporarily relocate my crafting space to another area in my home whilst I have some renovations done. But with the current situation in the world at the moment, those renovations have come to a grinding halt. So here is another card that I've had a bit of a play with, and I wanted to inject some colour into the scene. And you can see there I've got a sky background, the trees are brown and the flowers are pink, and I've gone for a bit of a cherry blossom feel here. And there's a little lantern by the tree as well, making it a nice little scene with my sentiment stamp there in the middle. So following on after I show you this card, I do have another card that I'm going to be making, and you'll be watching me make it. And it's going to be another card with colour, because I do like the look of that with these diorama cards. It lends itself very well to colour. And without the swing, you could put many things into your scene to personalise it and make it unique. So let's make another colour one. So I've got all my bits and pieces here. I'm just going to push those colour pieces to the side. We'll talk about those soon. And this white piece is the background that I'm going to do the clouds on. And I'm using that larger layering piece. I'm using Distress ink in the broken china, and I don't have a cloud stencil, but I do have a cloud die from My Favourite Things. And I've cut that out, and I'm just going to use that as my stencil. And I'm using my blending brush to apply the colour onto my makeshift stencil to create my cloud background. Now, blending and creating these sort of backgrounds are not my forte. I'm not very good at it, but I'm happy with how this has turned out. It's good enough for me. It's giving the look of clouds, which is what I wanted. So I've got that background done. I'm just going to put that to the side. And I'm going to work on putting my diorama together. So you can see I've snipped off the back pieces, the tabs off the back piece. I've got my two side pieces here. Just making those slits a bit easier to work with my pokey tool. Making them a bit wider. I'm going to fold it. And I have sped this up 4 times fast because you have already seen the assembly tutorial. But in this one I have put it together a little bit differently in that I'm putting both side pieces on, and when I put my layering pieces in, they will already be decorated because we're going to do that now. So for the tree pieces here, I've got brown cardstock where I've only cut the inner part of the die, the inner left and right tree dies, like so. I've only cut what I've needed. And I've used this large roll of double-sided tape to put on the back of the brown cardstock to create a sticker to make things easier for myself. You could use glue, but when I did it with glue on the cherry blossom one, I had glue everywhere. So I thought next one I make, I'm going to use the double-sided adhesive, and it did work better. So what I'm doing here is I'm just trimming off the bits of the tree that I need to go onto the diorama piece here. Then I'm going to remove the backings of my nice tree sticker, and I'm taking my time here to put it into position properly over the existing piece that's part of the diorama. And that covers that up nicely. And you can see that there. And I'm going to do the same with the right side. Just going to trim out the tree bits that I need. Remove the backings and stick it down into place. Much easier than using glue. And when you put the cloud piece behind these two trees, it really does pop. And I was happy with how that was looking. So I'm going to do the same thing with the flower veil part. So I've cut just the flower inner piece and put the double-sided tape on the back of it. And I'm just trimming the flowers out of that frame piece. And then I'll remove the backings and stick it down into place as I did before. And I think this is a nice easy way to add colour to these diorama cards. These flowers were a little bit more fiddlier to put down. So I just have to take my time, make sure it all gets into position and press it down into place. And next up we've got the front of the diorama card. So we need to trim off these side tabs. And it's time now to stick this layering piece onto the front, which I've also cut from purple, and I think that frames that seam nicely. I'm just applying glue there, and I'll stick that down into place. And that fits perfectly around that frame. This is the back piece that will cover those tabs on the back, and I'm just going to trim about 1 millimetre off each side and the bottom. As I said, you don't need to do this. It's just something I like to do to make the back of the card look a bit neater. So now I'm going to put my grass into position, and I've just cut that from green cardstock, and I like to put that on the front, in front of the tree, but you could put it at the back, it's entirely up to you. So I like to put the right side of the tree down at the back and have the left side in the middle, because I'm going to put a bike into my scene. So I'm just putting the grass onto the flower veil part, and on the front face of the diorama card I'm putting the grass at the back, because it would look funny glued on the front. And then I'm going to stick my bike to the side of the left tree, like someone's just left their bike there. So now I'm going to glue my cloud background into position, and all I'm doing is putting it smack bang in the middle, just eyeballing it. Now I've got it set up in my MISTI so that I can put my sentiment in place, because I don't want to mess that up. So I'm just lining it up, making sure it's going to be in a good position once all the other layers are in the diorama. So I spent a bit of time here fiddling around, making sure that this is straight. Then I'm going to close the door on my MISTI, ink up the stamp and stamp it down. And it says, "Just because." Now it's time to put the diorama together. So you always start with the back piece. It's easier to build your diorama from the back. And my tabs are going into the slits very nicely. I'm just testing it to make sure it's going to fold down nicely either side. Now I'm going to put the left side of the tree in. So you can see I am putting this one together a little bit differently than the assembly tutorial one, and you could do it either way, but if you're going to decorate your layered pieces, it's better to do it like this at the end. So now I just have to do the front piece onto the diorama, but before I do that I'm going to stick some gems into the centre of the flowers. And I've got some gems here from the KSCraft Lovers store. So I'm just putting some dabs of glue in the centre of all the flowers and putting the gems into place. Very therapeutic, I find this putting of gems and decorating with pearls and things, which is probably why I like diamond painting, which I will share a video of that very soon, of a big diamond painting that I finished back in March. So I've got all those gems stuck down, and this is what they look like. I'm not sure whether I can capture it, but they've got some lovely sparkle to them, which I do try to catch at the end of the video so that you can see. So once they're all stuck down, I just make sure that they're in place nicely and that they're not going to come off. And then I decide to put some around in the sky, around the sentiment, to make it look a little bit like blossoms falling. And I'm happy with how that's looking. And then I'm going to put some glue along those long side tabs there and attach the front piece of the diorama in place. It's a reasonably easy card to put together, I think. So I'm just trying to catch the light there a little bit of the gems. Now I'm going to put that back piece into place, and that covers those long glue tabs on either side. From where we attach the sides to the base, it makes it look neater, and it gives the back of the card a little bit of strength and stability as well. So here's our finished 3D garden diorama card. I'm just trying to catch the light there for you so you can see the sparkle on those gems. That's my tutorial finished for today. I hope you've enjoyed watching and that you feel inspired to make one of these cards yourself. They're not that terribly hard to make and you could decorate them in any way that you like. Don't forget to check the description box down below for the links to where you can buy this die set and also for other previous links that I have mentioned. If you'd like to subscribe to my YouTube channel or even follow me on Instagram, I would really love that too. Thanks very much for watching today. Have a great day, and until next time, please keep yourselves safe, keep crafting, and bye for now.